Hi guys, it's Kate from Lemon Scrunchy with Kate. It has been a little bit. I feel like I keep waiting for the perfect time to make a video and there just never is. So we are going to roll with it tonight. I wanted to talk about my story a little bit on here. I wanted to discuss how I got to medical medium, a lot about my mystery symptoms and when they all started and where my health is at currently right now. So let's get some coffee or tea or something and sit down, or you can just put this on in the background while you fold laundry, anything like that, while the kids are down for a nap, and just listen to it like a podcast. But let's jump into it. So at the end of my pregnancy with my son, which was about a year ago now, I was just getting all these random symptoms. I was getting floaters in my vision. I was dealing with chronic yeast the whole time of my pregnancy. I was having really mild tension headaches, but daily, like they never went away. And all of these were signs of preeclampsia, which I was pretty paranoid about because I had it with my first. So I kept getting checked. I kept getting blood work done. I kept getting my liver function tested, and everything was always coming back normal. There was no signs of preeclampsia. There was no protein in my urine. There was, nothing set in stone for a diagnosis. My blood pressure at the end of my pregnancy was starting to elevate a little bit, but it didn't get high enough to get to that preeclampsia diagnosis. And ironically, when I was in labor, it was like 120 over whatever it's supposed to be, 120 over 80, something like that. So a lot of stress at the end for no real reason. But that is when a lot of these mystery symptoms started. I did have the big C back in the beginning of 2020. It was January of 2020 before everything, hit the fan. And I have had some weird symptoms since then. I can trace it all the way back to then. Mainly my ear. I get a bunch of fluid behind my ear anytime I eat anything like grains or bananas seem to cause the same issue. So it's annoying to say the least. But I can trace things back to then. So at the end of my pregnancy, I guess it just escalated it because I have now learned that your immune system is compromised by 80% when you're pregnant, and all of your white blood cells are going to your baby. Everything inside of you is just going to that baby. So women's immune systems fluctuate throughout their menstrual cycle, and it's all new to me now, and now I know. But I think you hear women can get sick and their immune system is compromised, but it's not. You hear 80%, and that's just such a bigger number, and it makes you realize that it is a big deal. Our bodies just go through a lot, and it's so common now that I see it that other women go through thyroid issues or things like that after they give birth, and it sucks. It sucks. The journey sucks. I'm just going to be honest about it. I am in a really much better place in a lot of ways, but I still can't eat anything that I would enjoy. No beans, no oats, no bananas really. I mean, I try to eat them, and it gets really depressing. It gets really depressing to sit and make pancakes for your kids and have them offer you a pancake and you can't eat it, and you have to drink your juice or have fruit or I'm blessed with this information, but it's still really hard. It's really hard to look at my kids and see black spots in my eyes. The only way I can really describe it is when I look, how filters have those little spots. When you use a filter on Instagram, there's these little spots, and I don't really know what they are. They're kind of trendy, I guess. But there's little white or black spots on some of these filters. That's how I see. That's my vision every day. And it's very distracting. It's improved, but it's very distracting. And I find it hard. It's hard. And I want things to go away. and I want them to improve. And I'm 8 months in. I'm 8 months in to the medical medium protocols, and I've had a lot of improvement. I've seen specifically my oral health get better. It's nowhere near where it needs to be, but I had pregnancy, what is it called? Gingivitis. I had pregnancy gingivitis, and it's just decline. I mean, it has been on such a decline since that like diagnosis. I went to the dentist and had that done during my pregnancy, and then, you know, with the big C, she got it. I was sick at one point, and it just like things got pushed out into like the following year after I had my son, and I just think that wreaked even more havoc. Plus, breastfeeding takes a lot out of your body. So I think it's just, you know, everything all at once, just coming together, wreaking a lot of havoc on your oral health. So that can happen if you're pregnant. I highly recommend taking something like a cell salt. It's a homeopathic remedy that there's actually usually 3 that you take at a time. They're little tiny pellets. I can link them below to show you like the common ones, but I always highly recommend that you work with a homeopath because everything is so individualized. You can only know so much, but the general ones I will link below, and maybe link some just basic information about them. But you can reverse early decay, and it can help with like tartar control. So at the end of my pregnancy, I was just not in the best place. I think I was like having really bad health anxiety at the time because my blood pressure was rising. And bringing another child into the world when I already had a toddler at home was hard. It was a struggle. We had a really hard transition. I know a lot of people don't, you know, a lot of people think 2 is easy, but for us, it was a really hard transition. My daughter was very, very attached. And that's a beautiful thing, but the transition to her having to share her attention was draining. It was draining. And you are freshly postpartum, and the first time I was postpartum, I only had to take care of 1 baby, and there wasn't a toddler who needed my attention all the time. So I did not heal, I think, the way that I should have, or the way that I could have. I wasn't even able, I just couldn't stay in bed for those 2 weeks that you were like told you need to stay in bed 2 weeks. And I feel like a lot of women are in this position postpartum. You don't sit and stay in bed because you're relied on. I mean, you are completely relied on, and we don't live around family, so there's nobody who can just pop on over. We had family in town for a little while, but again, my daughter was so attached. It was a hard transition. So I think that did not help any of my health issues. I didn't heal properly, and I ended up having pelvic floor issues. I ended up seeing a pelvic floor therapist, which I highly recommend. That no matter how easy and beautiful your birth was, you should just go. Our bodies go through so much. It is definitely worth it to just see somebody and see if your core, like my abs had separated. There was just a lot of things that never happened in my first pregnancy happened in my second. I finally start to get in the swing of things. I'm breastfeeding, I'm taking care of 2 kids. My husband's back to work at this point, but I'm still experiencing floaters, and I'm still experiencing oral health issues, and I'm still experiencing daily headaches. The daily headaches were so frustrating, and they were not migraines, but they were enough that I just had a constant headache. It was just constant, but it never went away. the headache just never went away. Every once in a while something would happen and be gone, but I pretty much for the most part had a daily headache for 8 months. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't know what to do. I had discussed it already with my provider. I had discussed it with my midwife, and I was told at my 6-week follow-up that it was probably just because I was tired at this point. I lacked sleep because my daughter never slept great. I felt really like everybody was just pushing my symptoms under the table. Like, there's clearly something going on. Like, not everything is just, oh, it's just pregnancy. Oh, it's probably just hormone fluctuations. I knew it wasn't. Like, I had been pregnant before. I knew what was normal, and I knew this wasn't normal. But I thought, it'll fade. Things will start to go away. And they just didn't. They didn't. So I just kept thinking, well, maybe if I eat healthier. I had followed the brewer diet like loosely through most of my pregnancy. I ate extremely clean, like in comparison to my first pregnancy. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do. I was told to eat protein and more protein and more protein, and to make sure I got at least 100 grams a day. And when that wasn't enough, and I still was having issues, I was told to eat more protein. And if you are familiar with brewer diet, they basically tell you to eat eggs like constantly. You need to eat eggs, drink like a ton of milk. I don't remember exactly. And there's fruit and there's greens. Like they tell you to eat fruit and greens as well. But there's a big protein push in that diet, and there's a big milk and dairy push in that diet. Now, I never had like raw dairy, but I did drink soy milk, which was so out of my comfort zone. I hadn't had that in so long. And I also drank coconut milk and almond milk. But I ate eggs, and I was eating like 6 eggs a day. And now that I know from medical medium that eggs feed pathogens, I understand that I was just making myself so much sicker than I already was. Because all I kept doing was feeding eggs. Even in labor, they were feeding me eggs. And it's like pushed in this diet as like the cure-all food. This like holy grail, nutrient dense, baby, beautiful food. I haven't listened to the egg podcast from him in a while, but I do know that eggs were used as food in labs when they are like creating pathogens in labs. So when you have a pathogen inside of you and you're feeding it the food that it knows to eat, you're making it stronger and stronger and stronger. When I look back on my pregnancy, I see it. And it makes me sad. It does. It makes me really sad. But I'm so thankful for the tools I have now. I am doing this YouTube, and I am doing my Instagram, and I'm doing all of these things to get more information out there and to help other people, because the information's not out there. The information is protein. I filled out at my postpartum visits and pediatric visits with my son the 6, 8, 10 questions that you fill out about postpartum depression. I ranked low on at least 2 of them. Doctor comes in, my pediatrician comes in and tells me I need more protein. It's not the protein that's the problem. It's not the protein. I was struggling with the transition to 2 kids. I did not have family support locally. It was a big transition. And to go in, yes, she asked if I was seeing a therapist, and at the time I was. But then to suggest protein as some cure, as some big solution to a mental health problem, I just can't get on board with it. So needless to say, I never felt heard. I never felt like people were taking me seriously enough. I never felt like there was real solutions to what I was saying. As time went on, my headaches, again, never really stopped. I ended up finally one day just calling a neurologist and saying, something has to happen here. I had already been to my primary. I had talked to my midwives about it all through pregnancy. And at this point, I was 8 months into it and something had to change. I just couldn't go on trying to play with my children and be happy and, be breastfeeding and entertaining a toddler and just have this pounding headache all day long. I couldn't do it another day. I called in for some reason. They had an appointment the next day. And I went in. They asked me what supplements I was on, took my blood pressure, which was totally fine. I did a very weird test where tap my nose, tap my head, all these neurological, make sure that there's nothing serious going on. And I was basically told that any medication that they could put me on would be not safe for breastfeeding. And I was asked how long I was planning on breastfeeding for. So no answers, again, except for pop a pill. That was the solution. And I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to quit my breastfeeding journey. I wasn't going to go on a really strong medication without a cause. They're not looking for a cause. They're just giving you a pill. Well, where's it coming from? Why do I have a headache? Why is this going on all the time? So that was the only solution I got. Take this pill, quit your breastfeeding journey, and you'll have relief. A pain pill. From somebody who chooses to be sober. No, thank you. No, thank you. I don't need something else that could spring on an addiction. So I was at a rock bottom that day. I remember taking a picture and I remember sitting in that neurologist's office and saying, if there is no solution, I don't know where else to go. I had no idea what I was going to do. And by some grace of God, I have no idea, in one of my searches in Instagram or in Facebook or Google, I don't know when I did it, how I found it, but celery juice was suggested. And somehow I decided to buy celery one day. And it sat in my refrigerator for probably 2 weeks, something like that. And finally, I just said, I have to try it. I don't know what else to do. I have to try it. I didn't have a juicer yet. I chopped up a bunch of celery and I put it in my blender. And then I strained it with a paper towel because I didn't have a cheesecloth or anything similar. And that's how I started celery juice. And I remember thinking, it doesn't taste that great. It doesn't taste that bad. It tastes like liquid celery. It's really not so bad. And I started small. I started with maybe a couple ounces, 2-3 ounces. And then I think I waited a couple days and I maybe bought some more. And then this had started my journey on 75 Hard. I had seen somebody online and I just decided hey, I feel like crap all of the time. Maybe I need to start working out again. Maybe that's part of the problem. 4 months postpartum, working out is probably the problem, right? If I just get blood flowing and circulation and move my body, that's gotta help, right? So I signed up for Beachbody again. I have been a coach multiple times for Beachbody. It's something I had just always gone back to because I really love the personal development. Beachbody changed my life years ago in a lot of ways. It brought me to a lot of the personal development people that like led me to the books that I read that all like stack up to the next level of who I am today, basically. So I will forever appreciate Beachbody. I am no longer associated with them, and I no longer would probably do their workouts, but it was a big stepping stone for me in so many ways that I really truly appreciate what I've learned from them. But I went back to that because somebody I saw online was doing a 75 hard challenge, and I thought, that's it. I'm going to do the challenge. I'm going to feel better. Things are going to change. Things are going to turn around. So I was, I don't know, 2-3 days into that when I found celery juice. And I made that my like diet plan. Like I would add that in because you need a meal plan on 75 hard. And I added it in. So I have pictures from 75 hard that you have to take one every single day. And honestly, I'm really grateful for this. I only made it 35 days on this program, but it really helped my mental health. Being 4 months postpartum, your hormones are crazy. The transition is crazy. And I needed that personal development piece to get me back to me. So the reading definitely helped. I get a lot of DMs asking me, would you recommend 75 hard? It's really hard for me to say because I feel like I came out of 75 hard a lot better than I was starting it. I don't know if I could say, now that I know what I know about adrenal health, that it's good for a physical challenge. Maybe if you do your 2 workouts as 2 meditations or a walk and a meditation, I could get on board with that. I think that would be super helpful. But it is good to challenge yourself and make promises to yourself. There was nothing like accomplishing 2 workouts and all of the other tasks while having 2 young children. It really will boost your confidence. So if you're going to do it, maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. That's my suggestion to you, but watch your adrenal health. It's all so dependent on where you are at in your own health journey anyway. But that's where I started celery juice. I started it then, and within like a week or 2, my headaches were so much less. Like it was just barely there. They weren't completely gone, but I had noticed a dramatic improvement just in like the first 2 weeks. I immediately noticed my oral health, my gums, they were so inflamed still. Within, again, a week or 2, completely less inflamed. It was crazy. I knew it was working. I knew it was working immediately. I could just tell immediately that it was doing something good for my body. These are still the things that I'm coming out of it on top of. The chronic yeast, almost completely gone for 8 months. It's just gone. And I struggled so hard with that during my pregnancy. It's just crazy. It's crazy what celery juice has done. I can't speak highly enough about it. I think it's powerful. It's an herbal extraction, and it is a powerful tool for your health. I do a lot of fruit. I have eliminated so much from my diet, and I highly recommend something called the Morning Cleanse for everybody to start with. If you head over to my Instagram, there is a reel that I have where it just shows you what I do for the morning. It's basically lemon water, celery juice, fruit or a smoothie or potatoes, and no fat until noon. You can't have any fat or like any meat or any like peanut butter, anything like that. Don't have any of that until noon. And this allows your liver overnight, it gets rid of all of those toxins. It's working so hard to get rid of all of the environmental toxins and all of the other toxins that are in our food or in our environment. You know, the scented candles you walk in around and you breathe that in when you're just walking in the mall or to somebody's house or your office. those all build up in your liver. So overnight, your liver is working so hard to get rid of all of that stuff that when you wake up in the morning, you have to flush that out. You have to get all of those toxins out of your body. And to do that, lemon water is an amazing #1 first tool you can do. One of the worst things you can probably do is drink coffee. And that was a hard one for me to give up, but I'm so happy I did, because I think back to how groggy I would wake up and what I thought coffee was doing for me. It is not. It is not. When I look back and like can feel what celery juice does, the energy I get from celery juice in comparison to coffee, there's no comparison. Coffee puts you in flight or flight. It is not real energy. You're completely burning out your adrenals. It's been a journey. It's been a long journey. I ended up doing 35 days. I had a knee injury and I ended up doing arm workouts, like sitting and doing arm workouts on YouTube. You guys, I pushed myself. And then one day I just broke and I said, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I'll start again on Monday. I gave myself a week and then I started again and I fell off very quickly the second time. But I'm glad I did it. And if you do it with grace. That's all I'll say. But my journey at this point, we are now up to currently, I recently had a diagnosis of gallstones. I went in and my liver enzymes have been elevated for the last few times. I had my blood work drawn and now my provider has told me that estrogen levels during pregnancy and postpartum period can go really high, causing gallstones. So I don't know where this fits into my journey. I don't know. I feel intuitively that it started during pregnancy and this could be one part of the puzzle. But now I have gallstones. I don't have any real answers as to what the plan is. So I'm creating my own plan. I am bringing in foods that I know will dissolve gallstones. Pineapple is wonderful for gallstones. But the journey has been long, and at least I have an answer. I am nowhere near healed. I am not healed. I am healing, but I am nowhere near healed. So that is where we are currently. I have now decided to work with a homeopath in addition to doing medical medium protocols. I have began my routine, my regimen. What do you call it? A routine? I don't know. A regimen. I'm hopeful that this will clear some of the toxic things out of my liver that could be causing backup in my lymphatic system and causing sluggish liver and causing the gallstones. When I spoke to the homeopath, there are things that go way back in my health history, like hormonal birth control. I was on, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, I guess the jab type of birth control. And also the jab for HPV. I had that in my teens as well. So from what she says, that all builds up in your liver and it wreaks havoc on your body. So we are doing a bunch of protocols to clear all of this out. And I'm hopeful that my health will start to improve. I just started. I have no updates other than I took my first remedy. I have to wait a week and then start like my whole protocol. But basically the protocol is clearing. I had an amalgam filling removed in an unsafe way. I believe it was last year, in the beginning of the year. It was February of last year, I think. I had an amalgam filling removed, basically without my consent because I wasn't aware of where the cavity was. She just started drilling my amalgam out, which at the time I thought was a good thing, but now I know that amalgams are made up of 50% mercury and you're causing mercury toxicity into your body if they're not removed in a proper way. So there is possibility of mercury toxicity going on in my body, which is a big hit to my endocrine system. I also have, like I said, the jabs from the HPV and the birth control one. So those all build up in your system and we're going to get them out. So that is the protocol right now. I will let you guys know how I feel about it in a couple weeks. It is an 8-week protocol and we are going to see where I'm at that point. But that's where I'm at currently. I'm doing all of this to help you guys heal. And if there's anything that you want to talk about, if you want to discuss, I am an open book. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you listening to my story. I hope it inspires you in some way. And I really hope you're going to follow along for this healing journey because I know I'm going to heal. It's going to happen. I fully trust my body that it will heal. It has the power to heal. God gave us the tools to heal here, and I know that I can do it. So please follow along. I'm going to leave my Instagram link here. I am on there a lot. I'm being very active on there, trying to grow a following. So I would really appreciate it if you hit that big follow button and a like. That would be amazing. And I hope you guys have a great day.